my hair is growing back, which I'm really grateful for. Hello and welcome back to Sage and Stone Homestead. My name is Heather. So it was in 2022, I believe, when my husband exited the military. And when he did that, we took a pretty serious pay cut. It was something we were willing to do for sure, but with that pay cut, we had to make some changes with some of the things that we were purchasing regularly. And with that, we stopped our doTERRA subscription that we had. I was a rep for a little while just to get the discount for myself, and we previously had been using their shampoo. We decided just to buy whatever we could get locally at our local Amish bulk discount store and just start using that. And it was about a year after using that shampoo that I noticed my hair was really thin. There are a couple different reasons that your hair can thin out. I am in my upper 30s, and so perimenopause is a consideration of mine. When we started noticing this, it was right after a certain virus kind of made its rounds. That can also contribute to some hair loss, mainly because it depletes vitamins and minerals like zinc, and so that's a consideration. But in taking different supplements and things, my hair just was not growing back. Now, I didn't lose it in big old patches. It was kind of just thinning out all over. And my husband realized and remembered from his time in the military that he knew someone who was essentially, I don't know if allergic is the right term, but he was definitely sensitive to an ingredient in a lot of shampoos and detergents called SLS, sodium lauryl sulfate. And as soon as he switched his shampoo, his hair started to grow back. And so I figured, we got to do that. We've got to switch shampoos. And I looked at our local store, and literally every single shampoo on the shelf had SLS in it. And from what I understand, it's kind of like an emulsifier, but also it helps maintain the sudsing of the product. So it just creates like a frothier, maintained kind of bubble. It's not like it's necessary for cleansing. And so this is an ingredient that I knew that we could do without, and it couldn't hurt to try to be without it, except for, like I said, I was having a hard time finding any kind of shampoo that I could buy commercially without it locally. And so I realized, why don't I just make it? I have heard of shampoo bars for quite a while. I've made quite a few of my own body soaps in the past, and really it's the exact same process. And so if you have made your own handmade soaps in the past, this is right up your alley. And if you haven't, it is not really a complicated process at all. I think it can be a little bit intimidating working with things like lye, but if you're careful, it works out really well, and you can create a rhythm to make your own safe body products. So I will show you. I don't normally take my hair down on camera, not for any other reason besides it gets in my way a lot. What I was noticing when looking in the mirror is when I would kind of push my hair forward, I could just see way more of my scalp than I used to be able to. And I started using my own shampoo bars, I believe it was in March. And this is the growth that we're seeing. I noticed this year, as I was starting to edit my videos, that I was having quite an extensive floof around my head, and I said, you know what, I bet you that's my hair growing back. And my husband, actually, he's got long hair, and he started to notice right around the same time that I was noticing that growth, that his ponytail, as he put it up, was thicker. And so we are both getting our hair growing back by switching. So let's get into this shampoo bar recipe. This recipe was sent to me by a viewer. She's a member of our channel as well, Ms Kerri, and we are so grateful. She has given us permission to share this recipe with you guys. It was shared with her by one of her Mennonite friends, so it's made its rounds amongst many communities and is a well-loved recipe. All of the weight measurements in this recipe are in ounces, but if you need like grams or milliliters, I'm sure their conversion could be found online somewhere. So I'm going to be using this kitchen scale to measure out my oils that are going in the shampoo. One of the first ingredients, which is one of my favorite ingredients of all time, is tallow. This is actually deer tallow from rendered fat from a deer that Levi got a couple years ago. Tallow is definitely a harder oil, and that's the point. It's extremely conditioning, but it also helps make the bar long lasting. Body products like this are absolutely one of the best uses for something like tallow. Tallow comes from, or the tallow that you'd like to use or that you should use for body products comes from the inside of the animal. It has a lot of a cleaner flavor and it's nice and white flavor and scent. You can eat tallow as well as use it in your body products. I need 10 ounces of it, and I could heat this up to make it pourable and easy to get out, but I'm going to be stubborn and just dig it out. I do have a video on rendering tallow, and I'll put that in the description box. It's a pretty simple thing to do. And if you process your own animal, again, this was deer, so if you hunt at all, this is definitely a great thing to take advantage of if the animals in your area have a good amount of fat on the inside. In some areas, the deer really don't, but we live in the middle of agricultural farmland, so there's a lot of soy and a lot of corn, and from what I've been told by certain viewers that have seen some of our butchering videos, they say, oh, I can tell you live in ag area just from the inside of that deer. The recipe that I have for this shampoo does specify tallow. I imagine that you could use lard just fine if you had access to that, but I haven't had a chance to make the shampoo recipe with lard yet. Our lard that we got it off of our pigs is a little bit toasty and porky, and this tallow is a lot cleaner. Alright, I strong-armed about 10 ounces of tallow out of the jar. And now we need 10 ounces of coconut oil. This oil is very cleansing. It's a great one to use in all manner of soaps. It's pretty warm in my house right now, so my coconut oil is currently liquidy. We need 8 ounces of castor oil. I got this one through Amazon. Castor oil is a very good hair oil. It helps with growth and it's very conditioning. And then last but not least, we'll put in 5 ounces of olive oil, a very nourishing oil. Now over here on the stove, I've got a pot here with a little bit of water in it. I'm gonna set down my vessel, possibly make a mess, not today, and I'm just going to turn the stove on. I want all of these oils to melt together. I'm not necessarily looking for a specific temperature, I just want all of the oils to be melted and incorporated together. As soon as all of the oils are melted and incorporated, you're going to want to add sugar and salt. This is just going to help with the lather, a lot like what SLS would do, but this is a lot more natural of a way to achieve that nice sudsy effect. Now we're going to mix together our lye and water, and as you can see, I did this outside. A lot of people will put on gloves, long sleeves, protective eyewear. You can totally do that. I just decided I would be ultra careful, and if I got burned, it was only my fault, but you should probably protect yourself. This is going to heat up quite a lot, just the reaction with the lye and the water, and I'm just gonna stir it until everything dissolves. I did take a thermometer reading just because, so you can see how warm the oils are and how warm the lye water mixture is. And then really it's just a matter of putting the two together. So you always want to add the lye water to the oils. Do so slowly, and you can stir this in by hand, but it's really nice to use an immersion blender. It helps emulsify everything together. I used a rosemary essential oil to scent everything. Rosemary is great for hair growth, and so it seemed like it was a fitting oil to add in just before what is called trace in soap making terms, and that's just when the mixture is thick enough to where when you move your immersion blender or your whisk around, it becomes almost like a thicker pudding. Now this particular recipe does set up very quickly, and so pouring it into the molds, I can almost never do so perfectly, especially when I get to the end. Everything is pretty thick at that point, but it's fine, it still cleans great. As you can see, I did have my silicone molds on top of a tray. I think that this is important just to make them easier to move. Okay, so it's been 24 hours since we molded the shampoo bars. And they've just been sitting here in the shed making it smell lovely. My shampoo bars are a little bit thick and chunky this time, but that's fine. It's still gonna clean really well. And actually at this point, it's important that we unmold these so they can cure well. We want a good amount of airflow around the soap bars to help them cure, and so I've never gotten like a perfect pour with this particular recipe in this particular mold. The little bumps don't matter anyways as far as the cleansing goes. It just kind of looks cool. As you can see, I'm just using my bare hands to kind of unmold things. At this point, there is a very small potential that the lye could still be active and cause a little bit of like a numbing type feeling by touching the soap, but I don't feel any of that right now. But right now these need to cure, and that's just gonna help increase the longevity of the soap bar. The curing process lets things set up. It also helps any like residual lye turn the oils into soap. Before you use these, you can do what's called the zap test, which is where you touch your tongue to the soap, and if you feel a little bit of a numbing, like tingly electric fence type feeling, then it is still a little bit lye heavy. Now I kind of taste salt, which makes sense, and I'm not really getting a zap. So there's a potential that I could use this right away if needed, and I actually did do that with my first round of soap. I wanted to start using something different really quickly, and it worked out well. Now I will say your lather is going to be better if you allow this to cure at least 3 weeks, and also the bar is going to last longer. The curing process allows something magical to happen to where the bar just lasts longer and it can handle many more washes if it sits a little bit and hardens up. So I wanted to bring you into my kitchen, which does need cleaning. It's a never-ending cycle, to show you the level of lather that I can get off of one of these bars. So this is one of my older bars from my first batch, and I've got a loofah from last year from the garden. What you're going to want to do when you go to wash your hair with a bar versus liquid soap is wet your hair as you normally would, and then just run this along your hair. I've got quite long hair, so I like to put it to the side, kind of lather it up down here, and then bring the rest of the soap in throughout my hair. But if you have shorter hair, you can just take the whole soap bar and run it around your wet head and suds it up that way. I want to show you the lather so you know what you're going to be expecting. There you go. This is what we're working with. Nice and sudsy, as you can see. Warm water does work better. I think most of us take our showers with warm water, so that'll work fine. And it smells great. It's not overpowering, the level of scent that I put in there. I think it was 25 drops. So that's the shampoo bar that has been working really well for me. That is a shampoo that I've been using, and my hair is growing back, which I'm really grateful for. Now, if you'd like to try something like this out, you don't really want to go through all the trouble of making it and waiting for it to cure. Ms Kerri, who gave me the recipe, she does make these for sale, and I will put her email in the description box below. There's a good chance that she's going to have a sample bar for you that you can use and test out before you go through all the trouble of collecting the ingredients and making the soap, which it's not that much trouble, but it is kind of nice to know what you're getting into when you do go through that effort, which it is more effort than just going to the store and buying a bottle of shampoo. It is. So I've got a couple links here for you, some videos that are relevant. I made a fail batch of hot process soap one time that I tried to embed loofah in. Again, it's a fail video, but if you're into that kind of thing, I'll put that right here. And if you're interested in rendering your own tallow, go ahead and click that video.